Editor's note: this is the final of a 4-part series on pro wrestling great Austin Idol. Austin Idol, then known as Dennis McCord, spent nearly a year training to be a pro wrestler under the guidance of Mike Graham and legendary father Eddie Graham in Florida. After being stretched by the likes of Jack Brisco, Hiro Matsuda, and Bob Roop, Idol was brought into the fold of Florida Championship Wrestling. They tortured me, and it went on for a year, says Idol. I was the first one, and they were going to make an example out of me. I wanted to quit, but that $1,000 a week made me keep going. I guess they thought I was too dumb to quit, so they decided to just break me in when Graham sent Idol to Tennessee in 1972 to work for Nick Gulas' promotion with a promise of a $300 a week guarantee. The rookie was excited since he only had $400 to his name. Before leaving for Tennessee, however, Jerry Brisco gave Idol his number and told him to call if he ever needed anything. As it turned out, it wasn't long before Idol used that number. First week, 6 days a week, I think I made $160. That went on for about a month where I was just starving to death, he said. Brisco made a call to Carolina's promoter Jim Crockett, let Idol know that he was booked, and told him to forget about leaving a notice with the Tennessee office. With Idol strapped for cash, Brisco also offered to let his friend stay with him at his apartment in Charlotte while he regained his footing in the new territory. Thanks to Brisco, it would be Idol's first real break in the business. My first week in that territory I made $440. That's a big spike from $160, says Idol. Idol, billed then as Dennis McCord, was there for 3 weeks when respected veteran Nelson Royal took him under his wing. Royal and partner Klondike Bill had been working a main event program with Gene and Ole Anderson when one of Klondike's parents became very ill, and the popular performer had to take time off to go back home to Canada. Behind closed doors, a decision was made to put the big kid with Nelson. It was a much-needed shot in the arm for Idol. This was going to be a tremendous experience for me, he thought. It turned out to be even better than Idol expected. After his first week teaming with Royal, he was eager with anticipation to see what his pay envelope would reveal. I'm just praying that it would be $400, $440. I got my envelope, went into a bathroom stall and locked it. I very carefully peeled that envelope open and slid the check out slowly. I thought about buying an island, he laughs, even though admitting he wasn't sure if it might be some type of mistake. Royal, though, reassured him that the payoff was correct. A month earlier I was making $160 a week. Now I'm making $780 and I was still learning, he said. Idol was further rewarded by being named Rookie of the Year. His next stop would be Australia for a $1,000 a week guarantee. Barnett, who had connections throughout the industry, would later offer to send Idol to New York to work for Vince McMahon Sr. Idol, still using his real name of Dennis McCord, also was asked to change his name to Mike McCord and work as a bad guy for McMahon. Mike's my middle name, but I thought Mike McCord rolled off a little bit better, says Idol. It was in New York, where Idol had spent the first couple of years of his life, that the newly christened Mike McCord would come into his own as a full-fledged heel and be given the Iron Mike moniker by McMahon himself, as well as a renowned manager named Captain Lou Albano. It was a great run making great money, recalls Idol. And I was still green as grass. But with that run I had the opportunity to see the entertainment side of wrestling. You didn't really see that anywhere else in the country. It was the Big Apple, Broadway, and I was around all these people. None, however, were more entertaining than the colorful Albano, recognizable by his penchant for loud, open Hawaiian shirts that exposed his bulbous belly, trademark rubber bands adorning his wily goatee and pierced cheeks, and a gift of gab that had no bounds. On the mic all I had to do was stand behind Lou and just let Lou go, Idol said. I learned so much from Lou that you don't have to talk wrestling, you just be a shotgun blast, and then make a point. Just be all over the place. Albano was indeed a true showman whose often rambling and sometimes incoherent interviews, with that distinctive loud, growling voice, always drew an audience. But he was a brilliant guy, says Idol, who considered his new surroundings a promo. College Idol also earned more stripes working with beloved veteran Chief Jay Strongbow, who in a previous wrestling life was a Southern favorite named Joe Scarpa. He would come out in the back with his headdress on, and when you heard the jingle from his leather boots, the crowd went nuts, Idol said. As a heel, all I had to do was run. Just run from him until he said stop me. Those were good days. After working nearly a year for McMahon's Northeastern-based Worldwide Wrestling Federation, Idol returned to Florida. He was not looking for work, but dropped by the wrestling office to let them know that the local kid you beat half to death has done pretty good for himself, without any of your help. Louis Tillett, who was booking with Eddie Graham in the Tampa office, offered Idol work while he was in the territory, but Idol explained that he only wanted to take it easy while visiting. Tillett, however, made an offer that Idol couldn't refuse. I can put you with Dusty Rhodes, and he's hot. He'll put you under a mask, Tillett said. Teaming up with Florida's top red-hot heel was definitely something Idol was interested in, knowing that he could share in the big gates they would draw throughout the territory. Idol went from taking a vacation to making almost $1,200 a week, an attractive salary at that time. Now behind a hood as the Super Texan, Idol enjoyed success teaming with Rhodes before being unmasked after losing a mask versus beard match to Josh LeDuc. He would then leave for a short stint in Georgia, where he would return several years later as a major star and amid much fanfare. It was in 1978 that Universal heartthrob Austin Idol would meet Jerry the King Lawler to begin a program that would last through the next decade, both as tag team partners in big matches against teams like the Road Warriors, and more so as bitter rivals. Here was a guy who called himself the Universal Heartthrob, Lawler once told the WWE website. Very good-looking guy, really great physique, and he did probably just as good a promo as anybody I've ever seen in this business. There have been a lot of guys that you see come down the pike who people in WWE know very well who patterned their interview style on Austin Idol. Idol and Lawler swapped babyface and heel roles throughout their decades-long program. The two would engage in one of wrestling's biggest feuds and the territory's best drawing program in 1987. Idol challenged Lawler for his Southern Heavyweight title in a hair versus hair match in Memphis that resulted in the King's royal locks being shaved by Idol, Wildfire Tommy Rich, who assisted him after hiding under the ring for the entire bout, and 21-year-old manager Paul Dangerously, Paul Heyman. Some of them attempted to scale the cage to save Lawler, but fortunately were pulled down by Memphis police officers. Only a police escort out of the ring and back to the safety of the dressing room 30 minutes after the finish saved the three heels from being lynched that hot Monday night. They wanted to kill us, Idol recalls. It was on the verge of a full-scale riot. I could see the cops, and they were scared to death. I had already been around, to places like New York, so I was much more savvy in these wild scenarios. I knew what was at stake there. I knew it was going to be crazy. I told those guys, you do what you want to do, but when they opened that gate, and running, it was the first time I had ever run after a wrestling match, but I knew that you weren't going to just walk back. If you get knocked down, they're going to stomp your brains in and kill you. I wasn't taking a chance. Idol was prepared for the worst. I grabbed the chain and started swinging it. I had already committed to myself that if this guy came in, he was going to get whacked with this chain and padlock. You have to defend yourself. You have to save yourself. I would have definitely whacked him. But somehow we got out, he said. Lawler had been involved in a number of hair versus hair showdowns over the years and, until that night, had never lost one. Idol, who had promised to refund every audience member's price of admission should he lose as well as have his head shaved, backed up his confident stance. I grew up in Las Vegas rolling the dice and spinning the roulette wheel, Jack. I've been a gambler since the day I was born, and will be a gambler to the day I die. It wasn't the first time Idol had been involved in a riot-like scenario. He once saved Freddie Blassie during an uprising at a New Jersey show during the early 70s. They were going to kill Freddie. Nobody was going out to help him, and in watching from the back. I said, they're going to kill him. I've got to do the right thing, he recalled. While Memphis was where Idol made his most money in the business, his birth state of New York was his favorite territory to work. It was only for a year, and early in his career, but he loved the colorful characters. There wasn't another territory in the world like New York, says Idol. The people were just so wonderful. George Steele and I became very tight friends. It was just so much fun there. Somebody was always getting ribbed. Fuji was the worst of all time. Everybody was so into ribbing. Even though you were friends with everybody, you couldn't trust him. Then why did he never return and join Vincent Kennedy McMahon's burgeoning empire? He could have been a superstar in WWE, but he just wouldn't fly, old arch-nemesis Lawler once stated. Idol says nothing could have been farther from the truth. How could I have a fear of flying if I'm flying in and out of Memphis every week? That was just poppycock, he said. I can't say for sure, but I did give my notice up there, says Idol, referring to his 1973-74 run there working for Vince McMahon Sr. Now usually people are begging and dying to get into New York. It might be stupid, but it doesn't make any difference. The weather and those big ice storms just got to me. So I went back to Florida. I remember getting up one morning. I was living in West Haven, Connecticut. The whole place was just crystallized. And we had to go somewhere that day, and it wasn't called off either. I thought I was going to die out there on the road. So I said I'm getting out of here. For those interested in becoming a pro wrestler, contact Austin Idol at www.universalwrestlingcollege.com. His latest book, Final Bell, is now available at https://evepostbooks.com and on Amazon.com. Before Jon Moxley, Jonathan Good began training at the age of 18 as a pro wrestler under Les Thatcher. Moxley sold popcorn and helped set up the ring to help pay for his training at Thatcher's Heartland Wrestling Association. He debuted in 2004 using the name Jon Moxley, but worked in WWE from 2011 to 19 as Dean Ambrose. 57 years ago on this date, September 11, 1965, longtime pro wrestling manager Paul Heyman was born in Scarsdale, NY. The son of a personal injury attorney and Holocaust survivor, Heyman made his managerial debut on Jan 2, 1987.